Hi there! In this video I would like to share some thoughts with you about something that I started to refer to as the Dutch paradox. And let me tell you what it's all about. The Netherlands seem to be like this overall very liberal country, especially towards cannabis, right? Everybody knows Amsterdam as the place or the mecca for all coffee shops. We can sell weed, we can smoke it on the streets. Some places maybe not, but most of the places we can. And we can grow a maximum of 5 plants at our homes. We have this policy since the 70s and 80s, and some of it changed over the years, but still it's quite an old-fashioned policy. Why? Because coffee shops are still only allowed to have a maximum of 500 grams at any given moment in their coffee shop. However, if you have a good running business, then of course you have customers coming in and the demand for cannabis is a lot higher than these 500 grams. Now, knowing that cannabis takes some time to grow, right? It's a plant. It needs to grow. The flowers, which is weed that you need to have to sell in the coffee shop, they need to blossom. You need to cut it, to harvest it. They need to dry. They need to be packed. So if you can only do this 500 grams per 500 grams per 500 grams, you will need lots of people with 5 plants at their houses in order to be able to serve your clients, right? So you need probably some storage somewhere. And of course, the cannabis should be coming from some place. Someone should actually grow this cannabis. But it's illegal to grow. So where does it come from? Okay? So this is a back and front door policy. And as a matter of fact, it really takes a lot of effort to be able to grow good quality cannabis, okay? You need good insulation, you need good watering system, you need a good light system, good ventilation system, you need your plants, you need insulation, warmth to prevent helicopters to see, to detect the heat from the lamps that you need in order for the flowers to blossom. So it's really quite an investment. And if you're a grower, then you know that it will take at least 2, maybe 3 harvests to be able to have a return on investment. So now what happens if the cops come and they discover your plantage and they take away all your plants and all your whole investment and all the whole facility, then you're back to zero. And this is how cannabis slowly gets criminalized, right? Because then there are bigger organizations that have more money that are more able to have facilities to grow cannabis. So this is really a problem, this front and back door policy. Now, let me tell you something about the medicinal cannabis, right? It's beautiful that we have medicinal cannabis, right? There's only just one company, just one, selling, be allowed in the Netherlands to grow and sell medicinal cannabis. And what is medicinal cannabis? It's cannabis of pharmaceutical quality. So it has to be standardized and it has to grow under certain conditions. It has to be fully compliant to the Dutch law. And be safe enough to use as a customer, as a patient product, okay? But still there's just one company, and this company is doing a great job, and it's a really beautiful company, but there's just one. It's a monopoly. That's crazy. We only have just 5 varieties of cannabis growing. Now, if you know that every illness has its own variety that suits best for an illness, you have varieties that are high in CBD or high in THC or have equal ratio CBD, THC, and then there's all these different compounds that can enhance the effect of the cannabinoids. There are so many different kind of plants. Why only have 5? And did you actually know that the medicinal cannabis program actually started in the coffee shops? Okay, because now people were allowed to smoke and try the cannabis, and all of a sudden they started to notice, right, that they no longer had any more pains in their joints, in their bodies. They no longer have migraines. They no longer have nightmares. Their overall sense of life, their quality of life enhanced. Okay, so they started to realize that cannabis has thorough medicinal properties. And we have thousands of years of use of cannabis to prove or to show us that it actually does a lot of benefits for our bodies. We just should have good education, because there's differences in varieties and percentages of THC. But that's a different story, okay? So people started to realize these medicinal properties. And then there was a group of people that said, like, look, we have to do something for these people, because they're using it to enhance their health. So what did they do? And if you don't know this guy's name, please look him up. His name is Werner Bruining. He's one of the pioneers in the cannabis industry in the Netherlands. Beautiful guy. And just a second. What he did, he actually put together something called a Mediwiet dossier. So like a file that contained all kinds of information about medicinal properties of cannabis. And he then raised a certain foundation where companies could become a member of. They would pay 500 guilders, which is like 200 euro. And then they would have this poster or sticker on the outside of their shop, on the window, so that patients could see that they are participating in this Mediwiet project, okay? So what would happen is that the patient could go to their doctor to ask for a prescription or a statement telling that they have certain kind of ailments or pains or whatever. And then with this document, they would go to the coffee shop, and now they would get a 50% discount on their cannabis. There were about 40 coffee shops participating in this project. Okay, so slowly the demand grew for a medicinal cannabis program. And at that time, the Dutch government did some research on it, had a commission writing a report, and of course the report gave a negative advice to the Minister of Health at the time, Minister Els Borst. But Minister Els Borst says, like, look, I'm gonna do my own research, thank you very much. And she actually discovered that cannabis has valuable medicinal properties. So anyways, she launched a medicinal cannabis program. This was in 2003, it became effective. Okay, we're now 2022 and we're still stuck with only just one supplier. And about the supplier, there's a whole lot of rubbish there on how this actually went, because there wasn't only one supplier, there were other companies involved as well, and it's a very dirty business on how this went, but I'll leave this for a different movie, okay? For now that would be too much. So now, that being said, then we have the industrial hemp, okay, the fiber hemp. And in the Netherlands, we have about little over 2,000 acres of hemp growing. And that seems like a lot. However, if you look at, for example, how do you call it? Wheat, grain? Yeah, grain. If you compare it to grain, we have 180,000 acres of grain in the Netherlands. So 2,000, it's really not that much. And so what happened is that we are now allowed to grow industrial hemp as a crop. And actually in the European Union, countries can have their own, there are guidances from the European Commission on this. And I think there's over 60 or maybe over 80 different varieties of industrial hemp. In the Netherlands, we can grow, I think, about 40 or 50 different kind of crops. And it's, of course, there's rules and regulations, so we can only grow it if it's a maximum of 0.2% THC and a psychoactive component. However, in the Netherlands, we are only allowed to grow for the fiber. We are not allowed to grow for the seeds, unless we can prove that the seeds are grown, again, to produce fiber. Okay? However, we all know, and you can go to a Dutch supermarket, Albert Heijn, there you can buy hemp seeds for consumption. It's actually very healthy. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. You can press the seeds, then you can make hemp seed oil, and from the remaining parts you can sieve it for hemp, what's it called, a flour, or hemp protein powder. So you can do a lot of great things with it. From the hemp seed oil, you can also make industrial products, and you can make cosmetics. So there's a whole market that we are not doing anything with because we're not allowed to grow for the seeds. unless we can prove that the seeds are again used to produce fiber. Okay, and as a matter of fact, we're not allowed to have the flowers, because the flowers, they are an illegal part of a legal grown crop. It's like what they say, a contradictio inter minutes. It's absolutely insane. So what happens now is, we all know that we have the CBD oil, right? If you don't know, I wrote a book about it. Unfortunately, it's only in Dutch at this point. But the CBD is actually derived most of the time from industrial hemp. At this moment, the farmer is only allowed to maybe sell these flowers as cattle feed or as waste material and have it exported to, for example, Germany. And in Germany, they can produce an extract from the flowers of this hemp farmer. And now the hemp farmer can import again this extract and then sell it as CBD oil. So once again, we have a front and back door of industrial hemp. And it's getting even worse. Yesterday, a PR article was launched telling that the rules for growing industrial hemp will be tightened. So what happens is that we currently have the rules for common agricultural policy of the EU, which has classified hemp as a greening crop, right? So it means for the Dutch farmers, if they can grow hemp, whether it's they only grow hemp or they grow hemp in between potatoes or grain, they can receive an extra allowance of €150 per hectare of hemp. Okay, so this is very interesting. It makes it more interesting for the farmers to grow hemp. And it's being classified as a greening crop because it needs no pesticides, it needs no fertilizers, and because of the structure of the roots, look, it enhances the soil. And the roots can actually also clean the soil up until a certain amount of meters. But hemp is overall very good. It cleanses the soil, it cleanses the air, it absorbs CO2 from the air. And now they are taking everything back. They are reviewing the rules. And so not only is this extra allowance being taken away, also the hemp farmers should take all the hemp off of the fields before the 1st October, which is absolutely insane. I tell you why. We are in the Netherlands. We're not a sunny country, okay? We have very short summers. So this hemp is growing only in a period of May until September, okay? And then September, October, the hemp is harvested from the fields, okay? However, in order to get these fibers, which are very thorough, take them off of the inner parts, which have wood inside. These stems should lay on the fields, because then the dew and the water can start a certain rotting process. We call this roten in the Netherlands, okay? It needs to rot a little bit so that the fibers are more easily to be taken off of the inner wooden parts. And if you do not allow the stems to do this, then it really has a negative effect on the quality of the fiber. And now already we are exporting so much to other countries. This is not doing good for business. So please, what's your name? Minister Staghouwer. And I will make this video also especially for you in Dutch. If you watch this movie, please, we already have a Dutch paradox here. Please allow Dutch hemp farmers to keep growing hemp. Let's push forward, not go backwards. Let's allow also to be able to use, to grow cannabis for the seeds, for consumption, for industrial purposes, for cosmetics. Let's enhance our, how do you call it in bruto nationaal product? What's the word of it in English? Our gross national product, right? Let's enhance this. Let's get more hemp growing in the Netherlands. It's so good for our economy. It's so good for our nature. It's so good for our environment. It's good for the animals, for the soil, for the air, for our water. Watch this movie. please, everybody that sees this movie, share it with as many people as you can. Let's please reverse this insane change of policy, and yeah, let's keep things going in the Netherlands. Let's push forwards, not go backwards, please. We've had this gedoogbeleid now for how much? Almost half a century. It's really time that we push forward towards legalization for all different kinds of cannabis, within its industrial, medicinal, and recreational. We provide proper education, proper information, proper definitions on what determines industrial hemp, what determines recreational cannabis. We can discuss the dangers, possible dangers, we can discuss the risks, we can discuss the differences, but please, let's go forward, not backwards. Thank you for watching this video, thank you for sharing. Until next time.